All right, welcome back to the Amazon Seller Podcast. We have an exciting episode today where we're going to be talking about a topic that all Amazon sellers, especially private label sellers, are interested in: reviews and what to do with them. And specifically, we're going to be talking about review management today and some best practices, stuff that's really been working well in our own businesses. Liran has some real examples from his own business he's going to share with us that this has been successful for him, and it can really make the difference between an average product and a stellar product that's just crushing it, because we know how important reviews are. So we're going to be talking about that. Before we get into that, I just want to remind everyone, we actually had a really cool example of the AMZ Professional service today. That's at amzprofessional.com. We actually had a case where a client had 44 negative seller feedbacks removed, which this is a bigger account. Obviously, I know someone asked, I think, when Liran posted it on Facebook, how do they even have that many negative seller feedback? It's a large account, so they have, I'm sure, lots and lots of negative seller feedback.
They messed up a lot.
Right, yeah, they messed up a lot. So, and I'm sure they haven't been staying on top of it, but that's why they're using AMZ Professional, and the service was able to get those 44 negative seller feedbacks removed. I'm sure increase their percentage of their seller feedback, right? We all want to get towards that 100% or near it. And it's gotten tougher lately. So a lot of people kind of give up if they don't know the right language to use. The AMZ Professional team has some really good methods of getting negative seller feedback removed. They know those key words that the Amazon seller support reps that seem like bots most of the time that they like to see. And so the service has been really beneficial in helping with that. I know it's been helping you guys with this area as well. So check out amzprofessional.com. Negative seller feedback is just one of the many things that the service can do for you. The primary thing that most people know it for is the reimbursements, which it, of course, continues to be really good at as well, doing manual case reimbursements for money that is owed to you. So check out amzprofessional.com, and then make sure that you're joining the Amazing Freedom Facebook group. So we're doing a Facebook Live as we record this podcast episode. We're doing kind of a live and a recording version at the same time for you guys. If you like to watch live or listen to the audio version, I know a lot of people do that on their way to work or in the car or whatever. So we're doing both versions. And if you're listening to the audio, join Amazing Freedom Facebook group at amazingfreedom.com/Facebook. So we're going to be talking about reviews in just a second. But as we talked about last week in our last podcast episode, we're going to do a little bit of a rundown each episode of what we've been up to in our own businesses in the past week. For this week, some of it's probably going to include what our topic is today because it's so relevant in our businesses all the time. But we're going to get a little bit more specific in what each of us have been doing in our own Amazon businesses to move it forward. We're always trying to get more products, more sales, and keep growing our brands on Amazon. So Liran, I'm going to start with you, and then I'll go to Andy. We'll finish with myself. We'll do a quick recap of kind of what we've been up to in our Amazon businesses. Liran, what have you been doing this last week? And again, we'll probably have to cut you off on some of it. We'll have to keep it short because otherwise we'll be here all day. But give us a little rundown.
Sure. So, start with just today and kind of what we're going to talk about. I was able to change or get a customer to change their 3-star review into a 5-star review. So that's a nice win to start the day today. Some of the things that I've been working on is doing more on social media and doing social media advertising, doing product, not discounted giveaways, but like contests to get subscribers onto my ManyChat account. But those people, again, are very targeted to people who are interested in my niche because you could do that through Facebook ads. I actually did my first Facebook Live on my one of my brand's pages this week. This was something that was recommended to me by Facebook ad experts to do like Facebook Lives and then do an ad with it and then retarget people who watched, like 50, 90, 100% of the video. So that's some of the things that I'm working on. And then I'm excited. Next week I will be going over to VaynerMedia to have a discussion with them related to my Amazon account. So kind of excited about opportunity to potentially work with VaynerMedia. Thanks to Andy. Andy saw a tweet by Gary V. If you sell 7 figures on Amazon, reach out to them. And so I did. And now I'm in talks with them to help out with ads on Amazon. So looking forward to that meeting next week.
Awesome. And knowing Liran, next thing we know, Liran's going to be partnering with Gary Vee on some kind of project. It's all in the works. I know it with, might be a year or two down the road, but that's pretty cool. Awesome. So always looking to, this is kind of big picture stuff, right? That you're involved with, always looking to grow your brand. And it goes beyond just what we think of traditionally of like selling units on Amazon, right? You're kind of looking at the really big picture. And I know you've gotten some recently, like you've hired an employee and that handles, some of your day-to-day stuff. And so that you're really trying to focus on the stuff that's going to exponentially help grow your business. And all it takes is one good idea or one good product or one good connection, and it can just explode everything, right?
Yeah. And, I still haven't perfected this, and I still do a lot of the sort of day-to-day and marketing and a lot of the stuff on my Amazon account. But I heard a speech last year by a guy named Jeff Hoffman, who was one of the founders of Priceline. And one of the things that he said,
and he's a billionaire, right, Liran?
He's a billionaire. And one of the things that he said really resonated with me, which is you kind of need to outsource or like get things off your plate so that you can focus on your next breakthrough. But if you're sort of knee deep in the weeds all the time, then you're not in a position to be able to have the time to think about that next big breakthrough. And so, it's still, I would say, a challenge and a struggle for me. Probably like a lot of entrepreneurs, I have issues with giving up control and letting go. But it's something I'm working on, to get better at and to have that time to focus on the next breakthrough.
Right. And if you don't stay busy all the time, sometimes it can seem like you're not doing enough for your business, but it might be having the opposite effect. And, that's right. One of the reasons we've talked a lot lately about hiring virtual assistants, right? And between the three of us, we hired over 50 last year. We don't employ all those now still, but to help in various services in our own businesses. And so it's kind of that same concept. And I as well am trying to get better about that, but that's awesome. Andy?
And one more thing, maybe my next big breakthrough will be shaving.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, you didn't have any good events. We know that you just clean up when it comes to Amazon conferences and stuff like that. Well, you'll be speaking soon on stage, so you'll need to clean up then, right?
That's right.
Cool. So Andy, let's hear what you've been up to in your business in the last week.
Sure. So Chinese New Year ended about a week ago. And as soon as it ends,
Happy New Year.
What's that?
I said Happy New Year.
Yeah. As soon as it ends, my Skype starts blowing up with all the sales reps from the manufacturers that I work with, from new products that I'm inquiring about. So my sleep schedule shifts a little bit. In the last week, it's definitely shifted, like from 9 p.m. Eastern to 12 p.m. Eastern. A lot of that time is spent talking with the sales reps of these factories, where, when Chinese New Year is going on, it's the whole country of China basically shuts down for a month. So new products that I've inquired about, those have been just sitting there in the email, then all the reps start getting back. So that's one thing. It's been really busy. Second thing is I'm definitely amping up my partnerships with other sellers, which has been very cool. We've done, I believe, a few podcasts about the advantages of partnering with other sellers. I'm not sure how many other Amazon sellers that do private label do this, but I know that it's becoming a integral piece to my private label business. I'm enjoying it a lot more when I share products with other sellers. They're able to see things that I can't see. And so that's actually been a big piece what I've been doing the last week. And so with that, a lot more communication has to happen. Before my partnerships, a lot of times, you can run your business basically by yourself till you get to a certain level, right? But now when you're dealing with partnerships, there's other things that you need to think about. But that's definitely been a big piece. Then the third thing is ongoing work is the new warehouse that I have. And so I've been spending a few days a week in there, continuing to get it ready, to handle my shipments. And then I'll be working with a few other Amazon sellers as well, helping them store product and then fulfilling their product, a few other private label sellers. So that's what I've been up to.
Awesome. And then in my own business, I actually been doing some stuff that Liran was talking about the last couple of weeks on a product that I also partner actually with Andy. We've been working on it and someone else, and we've been reaching out to some influencers. FameBit is one of the platforms that we've been looking at. So I know that's something Liran's talked about a lot lately, and I'm implementing it. I think in a way that's going to be really positive and seeing some cool results through that. So that's been one thing. And then something else that happened that's kind of the negative side, one of those unforeseen things is my whole family kind of got hit with the flu this last week, right? So it's been really bad this year. It seems like going across everywhere. And so I was down for a couple of days, right? With the sickness, still trying to get over a little bit. But it's one of the awesome things about having a Amazon FBA based business, right, is that even though that happens, it's not like the entire business stops. It's a nice thing of working about yourself is that you don't have to feel like you have to stick to a certain schedule necessarily. My schedule kind of, I take the mornings easy the last couple of days for sure because I haven't felt well. And then just, in the afternoon when I'm feeling better, I pick things up. And then like Andy said, the Skype has been blowing up the last couple of days with I've gotten, I think 2 or 3 sample orders placed just in the last week. Actually sent a sample over to a Chinese supplier to have them look at it and see if they could, make a better version of it. And so that's the kind of stuff I've been working on. But yeah, definitely thankful at times like this to be able to work for myself and to have a business and is that can continue to run even if I'm not feeling the best. So
I know when I've worked for companies in the past, if you're out more than a couple of days for being sick, they'd want you to bring in a doctor's note, and you have to prove that you're really sick. And yeah, thankful that we don't have to deal with any of that. I'm assuming your boss, Nate, didn't make you do that.
Not this time, thankfully, but yeah, my last job, I remember specifically one time I got like the flu, and the next day, even though I thought I was feeling a little bit better, but then I got to work and I just was not feeling better actually. But it's you just feel like the pressure of not missing. And, even if they say like they understand, you get that feeling like they don't actually understand, right?
Right.
And all you're really doing is passing your sickness on to everyone else. And this kind of, that's what happens. So definitely thankful that my boss, even though I don't take it easy on myself necessarily, but get to make my own schedule. So yeah, so definitely some cool stuff going on. I think between the three of us, we're always looking to increase and move our business forward and then bring it to you guys and kind of share what we've been doing. What we're going to talk about now is reviews and how we can basically better manage our reviews, because I know, especially when I first started private label selling, my first probably 2 or 3 products that I private labeled, I did not do a good job at this. And it really hurt me because the negative reviews start to pile on. And it's really easy to start getting, to bump down from a 4.5 to a 4-star and then a 4 to a 3.5 star. It's easy to do. And so we're going to talk about some methods to kind of combat that, to get better reviews and to change negatives to positives, right? So this is a really important topic for any private label seller, something that can make or break your success. Liran, maybe you can talk about, start with some of the wins you already mentioned earlier that you kind of had a success story with this topic just recently. Maybe go through your mindset and your process of why this is so important to you, and then what your process is of trying to manage your product reviews. We'll start there really well.
Yeah. So, so like you said, reviews are super important. I know when I shop on Amazon, for me, it's all about the reviews. When I look at a product, I trust reviews. I know which reviews not to trust also when I read them, but, I generally trust the review system at Amazon. And one of the things I look at is kind of, looking at the first page and then also looking at the most recent reviews, right? I always like to look at the most recent reviews because to me, if a product has been selling for a year, 2, 3 years, I don't really care so much about how somebody felt about it a year ago, but I care about somebody who got the product 2, 3 weeks ago, how they felt like it was working for them or not working for them, because it tells me sort of what the current inventory, what the current state of the inventory now and the product now is looking like. I know people improve their products or quality can go down. I've seen supplement products where people get really angry with recent reviews about how they changed the formula, right? And now they've changed the formula and the product is not as good, right? So I always like to look at the recent reviews. And so, the first thing I would say when it comes to review management is you need to have a system, one, to be notified when you get a negative review. Negative review, I would consider 3 stars or less. or that would be neutral or worse, right? So one thing is I have Feedback Genius, and with that setup, I get a text message, and myself and my assistant get an email when we have a negative review. Especially if you have more SKUs, you don't want to be looking at everything manually on a day-to-day basis. So that's number one. So that's the first thing you need to have in place. One thing that we do is we also contact people who leave seller feedback. Most of the time, our positive seller feedback is actually a product review. And so we email our customers who leave that seller feedback and say, hey, thanks so much for the seller feedback. And we kind of stress that it's seller feedback. So we'll say, thanks so much for the seller feedback. We'd love if you could also give us feedback so other shoppers can see it on the page. And you could do that here and give them the link to write a review. I don't mention the word review at all. I'm not looking to flag any bots in terms of in my communication with customers about the word review. So I try to be careful about never using the word review in that communication. We do use it in, I think one of the emails that goes, in the follow-up emails, because it is okay to ask for a review, but when it comes to getting customer to move feedback to a review, it could be a gray area. So we try to be careful about the language. We never ask the customer to give a 5-star review. We never ask the customer to copy and paste their seller feedback into a review. We just say, hey, we'd love it if you also leave feedback on the page. It works pretty well. So that's one thing we do.
That's really important though, Liran, because I think a lot of people don't realize just, how this language, how it can be interpreted from Amazon. And like you said, it's kind of a gray area. Nobody knows for sure. Amazon's kind of vague when it comes to anything with reviews because they like to leave the power in their hands to interpret it the way they want to, right? So I think it's really important though. A lot of people, you would think, what's wrong with saying, can you change this to a review? And maybe nothing would happen, but like you said, it's those bots. And we recently saw a scare, right, where there was an email that was sent out to thousands, and it appears thousands and thousands of sellers that kind of said, hey, you appear to have been possibly manipulating reviews. And, afterwards, when the dust settled a little bit, it seems like it was just an error sent out or something. But this is the kind of scary thing when it comes to bots. You don't want to use a word that, would never be seen by an Amazon employee manually, but the bot could just pick up, right?
Right, exactly. So you want to be very careful. And so, generally I wouldn't see sending an email to a customer who wrote feedback and asked them to write a review as anything wrong. But you could if I was playing devil's advocate, I would make the argument of why it's against terms of service. It's because you're only asking customers who gave you positive feedback to write a review. And you're not emailing those people who gave you negative seller feedback that's a product review to write a review, right? You're getting Amazon to remove it. Right.
And on that same note, it's bad when they leave positive seller feedback that's a review because you want it as your review, but it's always a good thing when they leave a negative review as seller feedback. And then you're happy because you're like, yes, I can get this removed because you message Amazon and that's not allowed. So it's
right. So both ways. In theory, then you can make the argument that there is a very tiny bit of sort of manipulation there, but it's something we've been doing a long time and never had a problem with it. Again, we're very careful in our language. We never ask customers for 5-star reviews, etc. So that's one thing that we do, and that helps us get more reviews. And then the other thing that we do is we try to reach out to customers who give us negative reviews. Using tools like AMZ Fire to match data to the order in terms of who left the review. Most of the time, if you're sending automated like emails to customers, most of the time they're able to match it. I had a 3-star review yesterday that I couldn't get matched, but most of the time we can get it matched. And then we'll follow up with those customers too to see if we can fix whatever problem they had to make them happier. I have some stuff in the clothing niche. And just yesterday we had a 3-star review and we emailed the customer saying, hey, the customer, the 3-star review was because of a sizing. They felt it was too big, and they bought it for their daughter. And we emailed them, hey, we'd love to send you out a smaller size. And the customer wrote back, which we want them to take that offer. We never just asked them we never refund or ask them to change a review or anything in the first email. We always want communication with the customer first. But one of the things what we'll typically do is say, hey, we'd love to send you out a smaller size. Please confirm your shipping address. Make sure, that it's the same. And the customer, what we want them to say is, yeah, great, send it to us, right? Because then once we do that and then we follow up with them, we'll ask them to update their review. In this case, the customer said, well, you know what? My daughter already wore the product and she'll just grow into it, right? Well, we're kind of stuck at that point, right? Because they're just accepting it as is. So what are we going to do? So what I did was I refunded the customer for their full purchase. And I said, hey, just as a token of our, appreciation of you being a customer and the fact that you had, the sizing was off for you, we've refunded you fully. And if you do decide to update your feedback, that would be great. And then this morning they wrote back an email saying they've updated the review. We now have 5 stars. And they said not because of the refund, but because of the excellent customer service, right? So being proactive, customer service, following up with customers, and sometimes a little out of the box thinking. I Googled the customer name, found them on LinkedIn after they didn't answer an Amazon review, messaged them on LinkedIn, and sent them a new product, and they updated to a 5-star review. And I gave them 50% off coupon code for another purchase, and then said, thanks, I'm going to buy another one as a gift. So, you got to be creative.
Right. Yeah.
Now,
That's
let me just add a little bit. Like everything that you just said there was amazing, right? This is why I love Amazon, because people trust the platform. Now, and like when we speak at different events, we always tell people it's a privilege. It really is a privilege to sell on the Amazon platform. And like what you did there, going the extra mile, that's what builds, right, the confidence that consumers have in Amazon. And so, like as private label sellers, we all should be doing and really pursuing passionately, right, the customers that purchase our products. And if they have a negative experience, we should be bending over backwards, right, to do whatever we can to make their experience better. Because at the end of the day, the majority of sellers I talk to, my refund rate is still less than 3%. So less than 3%, right, of all the customers that purchase my products are going to refund. And so, by doing that, by reaching out to the customer, by providing them with a positive, by turning a negative experience into a positive experience, we've not only helped our brand right in our store, but we've helped the entire platform continue to build customer confidence.
Yeah. And, I try to think about, what would Amazon do, right? Some people say, what would Jesus do? I say, what would Amazon do, right? So what would Amazon do? Amazon is, number one, the reason why sellers complain about Amazon is because Amazon doesn't care about the sellers. They care about the customers. They're customer centric. So I try to follow, the Amazon way. And what would Amazon do? And I'll tell you my experience with Amazon customer service. I had a hijacker before my listing was gated. I had a hijacker on my listing, and I generally don't like it. I may have been out of stock at the time, and they were selling on my listing at like 4 times the price. So I purchased a product from them, over $200. I bought the product. They had 1 unit, and I bought it. And what I received was somebody else's similar product, right? Essentially a counterfeit of my product. And so I went to Amazon, and I went on customer support, and I wanted to file an A to Z claim, right? Saying, hey, I ordered this product as a customer because I ordered it from my customer account, and I wanted to put a claim in for A to Z. And I'm talking to a customer service rep, and they're saying, okay, well, we'll put in this A to Z claim for you. And my last question to them was, hey, do you want me to send you a picture showing you that this product is not the product that's on the listing? And the rep said, no, we believe our customers, which can sometimes be a problem for sellers because if I made it up, right, they didn't ask for proof. But in general, their philosophy is, no, we believe that what the customer is telling us, like the customer is always right kind of philosophy. That says a lot, right, in terms of what the customer service philosophy is at Amazon. And I take that same philosophy. I try never to put the blame on my customers, which is a cultural thing too. I think, when I talk to my Chinese suppliers and I tell them, hey, the customer complained about this, it's like, oh, well, the customer doesn't understand how to use the product, but I think in the US, people expect very good customer service. And we're expected to give that. And I think you can, like you said, if you thought about how Amazon does it, you probably want to emulate that.
And Liran, like you already mentioned, it can be frustrating at times, but you kind of just have to use it to your advantage. Like in your example where you did give the really good customer service, and then the customer appreciates it so much that they mention that in their review, and it can go a long way. So it can be frustrating at times. I know there's products I've sold where the returns are bogus and the reason, whatever, they just do it for free shipping and all that. But you have to kind of just have to go with it and to use it to your advantage. And then to Andy's point, this is kind of a topic on its own, but about his refund rate being so low, part of that is just because, Andy, you have good, high quality products too. And so that's a topic on its own about the importance of having good quality private label products. But if you do it right and you bring the right product and get your inspection, all the stuff that we kind of hit on all the time on the podcast, it can make for that lower return rate. And then Liran, if I can just summarize kind of your steps of what you like to do with a negative product review, because I think it's so important. First, if you can, you'll use a tool like AMZ Fire, which requires that you have sent out an email automation to the customer first in order to match that review with the order. So that's kind of your step number one. Number two, you'll first contact that customer and see if there's something that you can do to make it right. And you're waiting for the response. And we talked to someone recently who just, saying, and this is kind of what you would think at first, just you refund the person and hope that they leave you or get back to you. But you like to reach out first and get a response from them before you refund, because it makes it much more likely that they're going to come back and say, like, yes, make this right for me. So that's your number two. And then you'll do whatever you can to make it right. Like you'll give them a new unit, or you'll refund them, or both sometimes, right? And maybe even more. So that's kind of the process. And then after that, lastly, then you'll reach out and you'll say, hopefully I made it right for you. And if you could consider changing your feedback or whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'll say, we'd love it if you would, update the feedback, so other shoppers can see it, or something to that effect. Most of the time, if you make a customer happy, one of the, I think we've kind of spoken about this in the fact about psychological triggers, in terms of marketing and influence. And one of those big things is reciprocity. And it's the heavy weight of something weighing on you. When somebody does something for you, you have this feeling of having to do something for them in return. And so, when you make it right for the customer, most of the time they will want to make it right for you, and and they will update their review. And so I think it's definitely worthwhile having this process in place, because as an example, this one change from 3 stars to 5 stars on my listing, that 3-star review brought that listing down to 4 stars, displaying 4 stars from 4.5. And that's a huge conversion issue. And them changing it to a 5-star brought it back to 4.5 stars. So, you want to sort of fight for every good review, and try to minimize the negative reviews when you can.
Let's talk about that real quick. So when you're typing in a product search and you see the stars, it can be, like you said, just one review that brings it from 5 to 4.5 or 4.5 to 4. And it does make a big difference. I know when I'm looking and you see that, like a 4-star, for example, you see that big empty star there, right? Or the 4.5 almost seems like it's 5 star. In my mind, I don't know, it's psychological. 4.5, 5 like seems the same, but 4 definitely does not. And so what do you know, Liran, what exactly that rating amount is? Is it 4.2 displays a 4 and 4.3
yes.
rounds up then, right?
Yep. 4.2 will display 4 stars. 4.3 will display 4.5. And I think like 4.6 or 7 might display 5. I'm not sure on that one, but and it's possible that customers might not even see your product, because one of the filtering options on Amazon is based on stars. And so I think there's an option for 4 stars, and then there's an option for 5 stars. So, as you go down in star rating, it's possible that customers are even filtering out, not even being able to see your product. I don't know how common that is or not, but I know it's a possibility for customers to do it. So, and yeah, I'd much rather buy a product with 4.5, 5 stars versus 4 or 3.5 stars. So, that one review, or, if that 1-star review happens to be the top review on the first page, that's a conversion killer also, right? Where ultimately that review lands on your page. If it lands as one of the first few reviews, people are going to see it much more than, not being there. So you want to be able to have a system to manage negative reviews as much as we can, by the way, while we have it, right? Because it's very possible that 6 months down the line, you won't even be able to proactively email Amazon customers unless they email you first. I don't know. I don't have any hidden insight. It's just, a feeling that something might happen down the road with Amazon. And so you want to be able to be aggressive and take advantage of whatever opportunities we have now. Or maybe that extension we spoke about, maybe that won't work anymore, right? Maybe Amazon will find a way to make it not work. So you won't be able to reach out to as many customers, or things change. So be aggressive with the opportunities you currently have. Just like we've seen when there's changes, if prior to October 2016, you were super aggressive with discounted giveaways to get reviews, you probably would have thousands of reviews on your product, even including ones that were later deleted or whatever. So I think the lesson is take advantage of whatever you can do on Amazon now while you can do it.
Hey, real quick, because we're doing this live, so some people are asking questions as we're going along. Jennifer asked, what's the easiest way to match a review with the order and the easiest process to do that? And then her follow-up question is, how do you combat negative reviews from people who did not make a purchase? They just say they're not buying because they don't like it. So 2 questions there, Jennifer has. And thanks for watching, Jennifer.
So we spoke about, probably Jennifer joined us in the middle of the Facebook Live, but if you watch from the beginning, you see we spoke about an extension called AMZ Fire that will match orders to reviews if you are sending, as long as you're sending an email to the customer. So as long as the customer is not opted out, and you're doing using like Feedback Genius to send emails, it will match it. And we spoke about that process. And number 2, unverified reviews, they don't affect your star ratings as much. They're not as visible. I wouldn't be overly concerned about it unless you're sort of think you're being attacked by a competitor with a lot of them in a day. Then I would try to open cases and fight with Amazon until they remove those. If you can sort of show that it's a pattern of a competitor attacking you. If I had one unverified negative review, wouldn't be overly concerned.
Awesome. So I think the key here, like Liran said, is being aggressive while we can, and then also just don't be lazy, right? Be kind of the other side of it. It's so easy just to get complacent and lazy, and it can make a huge, huge difference. So you need a system in place like we talked about today. You either need to be really diligent yourself, or you need to have another system or service that helps with it. We already mentioned it before, but the amzprofessional.com service, there is a new private label package for those sellers who have 20 SKUs or less, or right around 20s, right? You can be a little bit flexible with it. But sellers with less SKUs, and part of that private label package is product review monitoring. So the service can check those product reviews for you each day during the week and let you know if there is a new negative review, and then kind of give you some recommendations on ways to reconcile that. Pretty much what we went over today, and just make sure that you're staying on top of it. So check out amzprofessional.com. Stay on top of your reviews. Don't be lazy. Be aggressive while we can. I think these are all really good tips that you can take away just about the importance of reviews, and it is something that we all need to stay on top of.
And yeah, Nate, we can maybe briefly talk about one more thing, and then maybe we'll bring on this individual to the podcast for a show. But one thing we've done recently, just as a side point, is brought on a PPC manager to our team, because we realize a lot of sellers need help with PPC. We ourselves do not have the bandwidth to be able to manage accounts along with our training and our own businesses. So we brought on a PPC manager to help manage sponsored ads for people. So if that's something you're interested in, I think we have a link on our site. Nate maybe can, I don't know what the link is, but Nate can talk about it, where you can give us some initial information and see if it makes sense for us to manage your sponsored ads.
Yeah, this is something I'm really excited about. Like Liran said, we have a person on our team now that's a PPC specialist that's really going to do great things for us. Amazingfreedom.com/PPC is the link. So really easy to remember. This is something that we've already been helping a couple people kind of like a closed beta for right now, helping manage their sponsored ads. Liran has been personally devoting a lot of attention to that, and it's been going really well. And we've actually had, some people we've turned away because we've just been busy. But now we're really excited to help people who are looking to take their sponsored ads to the next level in a hands-off approach, right? Because it can take a lot of time, and there's a lot of technical aspects to it that a lot of people just don't have fun doing, but they have fun looking for products and selling the products and all that, right? So amazingfreedom.com/PPC. If you're, are currently doing sponsored ads and would like to lower your ACoS or increase your spend in a way that increases your sales, or you're just not utilizing Amazon sponsored ads like you should, our PPC expertise can help with this, as long as headline ads, which is something, if you have access to that a lot of people are not utilizing to the full potential, headline ads and product display, that kind of stuff, where there's really a lot of room for improvement in most of our businesses. Check that out, amazingfreedom.com/PPC. Obviously, another super important topic. We've done several podcast episodes about PPC. We'll do more in the future. PPC reviews, product research, probably some of the foundational parts of running an Amazon private label business. So I think that'll do it for today. We appreciate everyone joining us live in the Amazing Freedom Facebook group and page, amazingfreedom.com/Facebook. And then everyone that's going to be listening to this through the podcast, you can go to amazingfreedom.com/podcast to subscribe to that and make sure that you catch all of our future episodes. Thanks, guys, for joining us today, and we'll catch everyone on the next episode of the Amazon Seller Podcast.